If fish advocates and environmental groups ever want the dams to be removed, they're going to need to have the support of Congress.
So the primary election is passed, and the topic of Snake River dams did come up a little bit. And a new report by the federal government talks about the Snake River dams. Tell us what is in that report, Courtney.
So 3 federal agencies just released the final environmental impact statement that guides how dams are managed on the Columbia River system. And that system includes the 4 dams on the lower Snake River. And most recently, a federal judge had ordered the managers to take a hard look at whether those 4 dams should remain in place in an effort to protect threatened and endangered salmon. And this study says the dams should stay. What the study ended up looking at was not only how the dams affect salmon, but if they were removed or altered, it could cause social and economic problems. So instead of removing the dams, what it's recommending is more water to be spilled over the tops of dams when juvenile salmon are migrating out to sea. So as you can imagine, a lot of people were disappointed by this, but there were also a lot of people who were pretty happy.
Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, during this election season, has been running an ad on TV saying that people who wanted to take down the dams are, quote, extremists. So that is definitely not subtle language from her right there. So I'm curious, generally around the sort of the political galvanizing topic, particularly people like Cathy McMorris Rodgers and her counterpart in the 4th Congressional District, Dan Newhouse. What have they generally been saying about the dams?
They've been very supportive of the dams. And right after this study came out, Newhouse, McMorris Rodgers, and Jamie Herrera Butler called the dams the lifeblood of our region in a statement. But one thing to note, actually, is that if fish advocates and environmental groups ever want the dams to be removed, they're going to need to have the support of Congress.
So it is definitely not a cut and dried or an open and closed issue. It's probably going to be going on for quite a while. So another thing that we hope isn't going on for quite a while, fires in the region, at least not through this fire season, but realistically, those are a thing that we will always deal with. We hope, though, not large mega fires that put up smoke for weeks and months on end and inundate us all. In fact, so far this fire season, which you cover a lot, we've been somewhat fortunate in that regard. We haven't had these huge mega fires yet. There have been a lot of fires just by numbers, but they've been put out pretty quickly. You've covered a lot of fires this year and in years past, and I wonder just how fire managers and forecasters are feeling about the rest of this summer. It's been pretty hot recently, pretty darn dry out there.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. So far, we've been fairly lucky this fire season, and there haven't been many super large fires. One big reason for that is that in July, there wasn't as much lightning, and the temperatures at the beginning of the month were a lot cooler. But going into August, things are ready to burn. It's gotten a lot hotter, as you noted. The vegetation that fuels wildfires is really, really dry. There have been some really strong winds that can fan flames. There's also a lot more dry lightning that's predicted. So that's all expected to continue through August. That's one reason that fire managers and forecasters are saying that people really need to do their part and not cause fires themselves. State agencies have noted an uptick in human-caused fires this season, and I think that's actually likely due to the pandemic because more people are getting outdoors, so just be really mindful when you go outside. But the good news is that September is going to look a lot better. There's a lot more rain and wet weather predicted, and the temperatures are going to be cooler, and so that always kind of helps to calm fire season down.
Indeed, and one thing that helps calm us down is your good and thorough reporting. So we thank you for coming and sharing it with us today, Courtney.
Thanks for having me.
Find more on these and other topics and coronavirus resources at our website, nwpb.org. Thank you for joining us here in the unique Northwest.